this past week I was competing at a computer game conference, and I'm working remotely at the moment. And the school that I'm teaching at, we're working on accreditations applications. But during my participation at the event, I noticed that an interesting economics dilemma called the unscrupulous diner's dilemma. So here's the setup of the dilemma. When I was in college, and I was going to a restaurant with three of my friends, right? The four of us are sitting at a table, and we have some choices on the menu to order from, right? So I normally drink seltzer water, but sometimes I'll drink a Beck's beer, right? This is an imported brand of beer. Now let's say the seltzer water is $2 and the Beck's beer is $6. And let's say my utility from drinking the seltzer is 1, right? And my utility from drinking the Beck's beer is 50% more, like 1.5, right? Now, if I were going out to the restaurant alone, or here in 2020, ordering it from the restaurant, I would go with the seltzer water, right? Actually, I wouldn't even go with the restaurant seltzer water. I could go to the grocery store and buy loads of that for $2, right? Now, the problem is that when I go out with three friends and we're agreeing to split the bill evenly, which we've always done, that extra $4 is only an extra $1 for myself, right? And so in this case, I would be paying an extra dollar for the extra utility, which might make it worthwhile, right? And let's say I normally order an 8-ounce portion of salmon, but I could supersize it for $25, right? Or 15 to 40. But I'm not paying an extra $25, right? I'm only paying an extra $6.25. It's a no-brainer, right? The problem is all of my friends are probably going to come up with the same logic, right? And anybody who doesn't, it's just going to be a big sucker, right? They're still going to pay most of the extra cost of upgrading their meal and get none of it, right? Unless they were on some kind of a low-calorie diet and they got a utility out of eating less in some other way, right? So the end result is that we all overate, and it was not good for either our wallets or our waistlines, right? Because we felt like a sucker if we didn't. But the problem didn't end there. After spending $80 on dinner, nobody had any more money to tip, but that's okay. Because if you didn't tip, especially somebody like me, you know, I love to put messages on the tip line anyhow. Sometimes, like, if I'm the only single person going out to the restaurant and I get treated badly, and I'll put a little note on there about single lives matter or something like that. I've been known to do that, by the way. But it's okay, because the cost of not tipping well gets spread out across all of the people at the table, right? It's hard to discriminate who was the one who tipped badly, right? Okay, so that was 15 years ago when I was in college. Now that I'm a professor, I ran into a little bit of a problem. See, I teach remotely now. I live in Wallace, Idaho, but I'm teaching remotely for a school in Seattle, which is on the same time zone as Wallace. But I was also competing at a computer game conference in Taiwan. And I had about a dozen events that I could compete in. We had trouble finding other opponents. I had 20 games, but opponents were hard to come by. Actually, one of my opponents is in the hospital recovering from COVID-19. So, obviously, Taiwan, when it's 5 p.m. here in Seattle, it's 2 a.m. over in Taiwan. Now, I look at the accreditations application that we're shooting for, and my dean is obviously waiting for me to put something on there. But I look at that, and I realize that even if I don't make it to all the conferences, we're not going to lose that many bullet points, right? Because the other professors at the school, my effort is getting diluted, watered down by everything else on the accreditations application, and I bear all the costs, right? Every event I go to, I'm sleeping less, which is affecting my performance at work. I bear all the costs, and I only get a fifth of the benefits, right, if there's 5 professors in there. And so I competed in 3 events, and I got some extra sleep. But it might have been suboptimal, right? just, well, I needed sleep anyhow. I'm teaching. I definitely, our student evaluations are important too. But it's just like over here, right? The person bearing the cost is not the same as the person getting the utility out of the food, right? Ideally, maybe what we should have done is we should have averaged the cost to make the check easier. But when we get our food, we should put it all onto a large plate and then divvy it out, right? Although that might be tricky for me because I have dietary restrictions, right? It's tricky here too because everybody has different expertise in the workplace as well, right?